Hello, welcome pen friends. My name is Chris and I'm back with another ink profile. We're working our way right through Ink Flight 24, which is January 2019. And today we're on Taccia Olive Green. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the real word for it there. It looks confusing. This is a really interesting ink, and I think that all of the green fans of green fountain pen ink are really going to like this. So here we go. If you hear squeaking, the he's playing with his squeaky toy right now. So okay, here we go into the bath test with it, and we'll see what happens with that. And then just a quick look back at the last one. It stayed true to how it looked at the end of the review. This was the golden wheat from the last ink profile, and it turned into kind of a dark gray, or just the base color. So that's just a little report. Hello, Willie. He's down there. I don't know whether he's going to come up and get a bath or or what he's going to do. So okay, here we go into the Rhodia Gold book, and here we'll get a look at the chromatography, which just finished this morning. Whoops. Okay, he's playing with a tripod. I think he doesn't like this whole thing of not being the center of attention. Okay, so there's the chromatography, and we have it right here on our spread. Oh my goodness. And here on the next page, it's a very pretty ink, but contrary to what I first thought, it just doesn't fit in, doesn't match up with anything else I have. But we do have some comparisons, and I just found it just true to all the other inks in this Taccia group. It's very free-flowing, and it comes out of the ink beautifully. It makes everything into a nice wet writer. So here it is in the broad nib and on a little piece of Tomoe River paper. Let's see if we can get, you can see that red sheen. Hello, Willie. He's trying to help from down below decks here. And then here it is on the Lamy fine nib at the very bottom there. Yeah, you could probably hear the squeaking. Poor guy. I thought I'd given him plenty of attention before I started, but no, he's trying to untie my shoe now. Okay, let's see if we can go on to the next notebook. I get distracted real easily, so here is the Cafe Note with by Nanami Paper Company with Tomoe River paper in it. I just loved how this looked in the broad nib. I can see a little bit of red sheen, but it isn't easy to detect with the camera. So here it is broad, and here it is in the fine nib. Both were great writing experiences. I happen to like how it comes across better in my broad nib. And I wanted to go back to way back in the beginning where we did Monteverde Olivine. Now, I wasn't using a broad nib then. But I hadn't quite gotten a routine yet. This was day 3 of 30 inks, 30 days. And as you can see, at least in that, in the Serendipity with a medium nib, it was quite a bit darker. So maybe we could compare that, the medium nib there, to the fine Lamy nib. Is probably a pretty good fair comparison. So we're looking at the ink of today being quite a bit brighter than the Monteverde Olivine, but you'll see in the comparisons they have something in common. So okay, and here is this other little notebook, the Nemesine. And it was kind of scribbly, but it still shows you what the ink looks like. It has quite the range, and it has some red sheen that shows up in the darker areas there. So I put it on the Moonman Mini with the glass nib, and it wrote really well without another dip. Just one dip did it, and it was just wonderful. Nice and free-flowing, and it goes on really, really, really dark, and then it kind of dries to that medium range kind of olive look. It's hard to describe, but we'll see some comparisons, and that may help us. Okay, let's get Tomoe River paper, 52 gram. This is the white paper here. Again, very nice. It was interesting to me how it flattened a bit on the Tomoe River paper, but not a lot. Let's see. Oh, Okay, I see a mistake here, but we can correct that right on camera. I see I forgot to write with my Lamy. So let's just do that because I would like to have it on there. Uguisu olive green. And it'll probably dry as we're speaking, so that'll help. Because it does dry lighter, but not by just gobs and gobs lighter. But lighter. Okay. There's that. We'll let that dry. Okay, so to compare them, keeping in mind that that last bit I just wrote is still drying. It does flatten up just a little bit on the Tomoe River paper, but it doesn't bother me at all. I think that it still looks nice. That's pretty typical of many inks anyway. I don't think that's really all that unusual. Okay, here's the Clairefontaine 90-gram French ruled paper. Again, I can see a lot of red sheen there, around the edges especially. And that's a different look. Let's see. So what Ink Journal had wrote on their little itinerary was that it changed its complexion on different papers, and that's exactly that's a perfect description of what happens. Certainly you'd have to try it on all your different preferred papers. Get a sample, that's what I always recommend, and that's one of the reasons, because you might see it somewhere, but then it might act differently for you. So this is the Rhodia 80-gram dot grid paper. It was happy on there. Not quite as much of a sheen was on the Rhodia, but it comes across beautiful, flows out of the nibs really nice. So there you have it. And then on the Office Depot College ruled paper, it just, to me, that looks just fine, and it's nice and bright. It actually might be a little bit brighter there. I'm trying to see which one to compare it to. Yeah, it's even brighter on the Office Depot paper than on the Leuchtturm. So you'll have to probably experiment for yourself. I highly recommend samples. So let's peek in on this, and then we'll see our comparisons. Look at that. That's quite a bit of blue left over in there. Let's see. Where's that chromatography strip? Here it is. That kind of makes sense that so much blue would be left on there. So okay, let's turn this around. Right now I finally got decent light to do this. I'm going to try to fold this. Okay, here's our panel. And right in the middle is our ink of the day. So Taccia olive green is in the middle. And I thought it was going to be almost identical to the Monteverde olivine. But isn't that interesting how underlying it is very similar, you know, in what comes out when you get it wet. But the Monteverde olivine is quite a bit darker. That's just really interesting, but they're complementary, I think. And then, of course, it was tough to find anything that really came close, so I just put down the greens that for some reason reminded me of it. Definitely the Private Reserve avocado made me think of it, even though it's on a different shade. It certainly is darker, and it's a different shade, so it was really, really interesting. And then down here we've got a Pelican Edelstein olivine, which is so totally different, but I still wanted to see them compared. And just as a standard, you know, this is just your average bright green. Well, not average, I love that ink, but you know what I'm saying, it's more like a traditional green, like right out of the primary colors, I think, and that's KWZ green number 5, and that gives us a pretty good comparison, along with this Noodler's Grün Cactus Eel, which I initially thought was going to be quite a bit more similar. And then Diamine Safari, I have a little, I had to start, this was a tricky one. I had to start by doing a little, kind of a little initial panel, because I just wasn't finding anything, but I wanted to have something for you. So that's when I realized, I thought that maybe Army Green was going to compare, but no, it didn't. And I felt like Diamine Safari was closer, so I put that one on the panel and I knocked off the Noodler's Army Green. This is sometimes how I do it, just to kind of get an idea, just a general idea. And I almost put on the Birmingham it had something more to the name, but it's a grass stain. But then I thought, that is just so far away. So it would have been a lot like Diamine Sherwood Green. It's just a control color for us to look at, kind of. So hopefully this helps you a little bit in kind of seeing where it falls. But it's quite tricky. It's a little bit complex. It's got, I'm going to show you what it did on the art journal, because that actually is going to help, I think, us to kind of get an idea. This is, whoa, crooked. This is the first one. And, you know, it's like a runaway pond or something. You put the water down and then you put the ink. And I did come in later and try to do a few little details, but they blurred right away. But I loved how the yellow and blue did come out. That was just spectacular. It looked better before it dried, but I think that maybe I could have used a little less water. But that just is very interesting. It actually shows the chromatography just as good probably on there. It's just a different way of seeing it. Because if you see right here how much yellow there is, and then all the tinted blue, everywhere there was water practically, there's blue. So then this one was the second one I did. And then the tree came out okay, I think. And I loved how all that contrast, whoops, with the yellow and the darker green came in. Not so much down here. This was a total accident. The brush, the bottom layer, when I added the water, accidentally hit a piece of ink and just brought it right down. But that's okay. It's kind of fun to see what happens, no matter what happens. All right. So that's pretty much this ink for today. And then the next one is going to be a blue-black by the Taccia, and I'm looking forward to that. And I know I have one pen friend who is looking for a blue-black right now, so this is probably going to be timely for that person. And I know all of us were looking forward to what all these look like. This is the one I'm really waiting for, the purple, Murasaki purple. Unless the testing and the profile proves me wrong, I'm going to want a bottle of that one. Just, you know, that's my initial reaction, but it is interesting to see how it changes when we go through the testing and comparing, because I do have a lot of purple ink. So anyway, that pretty much does it for today. I was just going to give you a quick update on what I'm doing with the KonMari method, and there's a YouTuber called How to Get Your Shit Together, but she calls it gyst.com. She has a website and everything and a YouTube channel, and she's put together a checklist that helps anybody doing the KonMari method to break it down further, because like you know, I was doing the kimono category, and it's so huge and you forget things. So I even forgot well, the hall closet, I have coats in there, and I didn't go through my backpacks yet, so that was interesting. I thought it was all done with clothes, but they're considered purses, wallets, and backpacks are considered clothing, and jewelry was easy. I don't have much, and now I have even less. I lost my wedding ring. I washed my hands. It was real cold, and sometime between, I had it on when I filmed the last video, not the one about Inko Raimo, the last ink profile. So I went back and I watched that, and my wedding band was on then. And then 2 hours later, when I sat down to eat supper, it was gone, and we can't find it. I went through all the trash just in case, like, I had thrown away paper towel and it had gotten away from me. I hadn't left the house at all, not even to go in the backyard those 2 hours. So this happened once before, too, when I lost weight, and I had the ring sized, but now it's just too big, and I should have known better. Anyway, I have even less of my not very much jewelry. Darn it. But I'm going to keep looking. It's just that it's so tiny, and the cats could probably use it as a little hockey puck all around the house, so it could be anywhere. So anyway, I'm going on through and picking up anything that I missed in my sorting, and it just, it feels good to do this project. So I just encourage you, if you're looking for this list, you can find her on YouTube, this how to gyst, probably should have just said that, .com. And, you know, she's got it all broken down really nicely. And then I put hobby beside the stationery and office supplies, because it becomes more sentimental for those of us who really are deep into this kind of stuff, like pens and inks. And I'll be updating you. I'll let you know when I get to that section. I'll probably be actually doing some filming of my sorting. So anyway, that's it for today. Hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.